all right? So we're gonna go ahead and jump in. Today we're talking about basically being positive, how we integrate classroom management, and all the other ideas and strategies that we learned in the day 2 of training. So let's just start off from the very beginning. The very first staff skill that we really want to focus on is being positive, all right? I know, and we talk about that, and we've talked about that as PBIS as a whole, but it's really important that we understand that it really is a difference in the way that we're thinking about everything, all right? And the way that it's going to be manifested in what we're doing today is positive contact and positive reinforcement, all right? We spent a little bit of time on that, but I want to spend just a little bit of time more to make sure that everybody kind of understands what we're talking about, all right? So when we're talking about positive contact, we're talking about building these positive relationships with students, all right? And what's really important to remember about that is we're really not talking about where we're being very specific about specific things. That is another strategy when we get into positive relationships. But with positive contact, the real goal is to establish these relationships with the kids and you get to know your kids better, all right? So it's not really contingent on it being specific to a particular action or to a particular behavior that the student has exhibited, all right? Every student should receive some form of positive contact, all right? And what that means is that in order to do that, you have to be intentional about it, all right? It's not just one thing to say that we're gonna be more positive in our program. You really have to be you have to be intentional about it because as you well know, for some people, depending upon their background, depending upon their own upbringing, positive contact may not be something that was just naturally in the way they do their day-to-day. And I'm sure that many of you, if you look at your staff members, you probably have staff members who maybe they're really good at what they're doing, but they may not be smiling all the time. They may not be the most happy-go-lucky person, all right? So then how do we then engage with those staff members and make them understand the importance of it, as well as making sure that it's intentional? It has to be used by staff with all the students. You can't do it with some students or the students who you're really happy with today and the ones you're not give them positive contact, right? And it has to be done in high frequency. We talk about kind of the certain numbers that we can roll out for efficacy to make sure that we're getting where we need to be. But ultimately, it's this whole idea of being very intentional in your program about providing positive contact for students, which will in turn build these larger positive relationships, okay? Now, how do we do that? What does that look like? As I said, a smile, right? A smile. It's so nice when I look on the chat. That's why I'm so glad for my brave ones who are doing the video and I can see you and I see you smiling. It makes me feel better, all right? Smiling is energy, all right? It really does give off energy. When you walk in a room and someone gives you, have you ever been in an experience you're having a bad day and you walk in and someone gives you such a big happy smile that you can't help but to smile back? It really does do a lot in terms of connecting people, but also in terms of diffusing negative situations. So it's a simple thing and they're free. There's no money to smile, all right? So whereas you don't have to go telling your staff that you want them walking around with that kind of fake, scary Norman Bates smile on their face all day long because it's not real, you know, that kind of fake smile when your muscles kind of hurt on the side. We're not doing that. But what we are doing is being in a more cheerful and joyful place and looking for those opportunities to smile more. All right, we want to be more spontaneous and natural with the kids. You want to be real. You know, kids are real magnets. They can know when you're being fake. They'll know when you're being authentic. So you want to be real as well as being spontaneous. Greeting, saying goodbye. It's a simple thing, but it's something that, number one, is a strategy that you can implement that you can then verify day to day this is going on. And it's a strategy that you can implement and kind of cross-check yourself and say, did I do that today? All right. When we're thinking in terms of a lot of these strategies, it's really about how can I implement this in the way that I'm doing it day to day. All right, so greeting and saying goodbye, one-to-one connections, acknowledging students' efforts and achievements. If students are out and doing great in school, let them know you know they're doing great in school. Give them that feedback and make them feel good about themselves. And more than anything else, let the families know that the kids are doing good, right? Because they're the ones who really need to hear it.